The year is 1388. Thousands of elite Habsburg cavalry are marching into the Valley of Glarus. Their goal is clear: to crush the resistance and force this small canton back into submission. For Austria, this was a campaign to restore authority. For Glarus, it was a fight for survival. Fewer than 1,000 men stood in the way, and most of them were not soldiers at all. These men were farmers, hunters, and blacksmiths. They wore no shining armor, but they possessed something far more powerful than the steel: a carefully prepared plan. Near Näfels, the ground began to narrow. The Linth River pressed in from one side, uneven land from the other, and above it all rose steep, snow-covered slopes. As the Habsburg vanguard approached the narrowing pass, confidence filled their ranks. Their formation was tight, their banners high, and victory felt certain. But above them, hidden on the slopes, hundreds of Swiss eyes were watching in silence. Switzerland was not yet a unified country. It was a loose alliance of mountain communities, bound together not by empire, but by survival. For generations, Glarus had lived under Habsburg control. To the great dynasty, this valley was not a partner, but property. Morgarten, Sempach. Twice before, Habsburg power had been broken in the mountains, and now Glarus was preparing to make it happen again. The leaders of Glarus did not waste time debating honor. They studied the valley, the river, the snow, and the slopes. Their trap would depend on terrain, timing, and discipline. A small advance force would reveal itself, clash briefly, and then fall back in a controlled retreat. The Austrians had to believe. The Swiss were weak. Before dawn, Swiss men climbed the slopes above Näfels. They tested the snow, loosened rocks, and searched for the exact point where one small push could unleash disaster. Below, halberdmen gathered in tight defensive blocks. Crossbowmen hid near the tree line. Every signal, every movement, and every second would matter. At first light, the Swiss advance group appeared. To the Austrians, they looked weak and exposed. The first clash was brief, and then the Swiss began to fall back. The Austrians mistook the retreat for fear. They pressed harder. Cavalry accelerated. Infantry crowded in behind them. With every step, the valley grew tighter. Then a horn sounded. A sharp crack echoed from above. At first, it looked like only a small slide of snow, but within seconds, the entire slope began to move. Snow and rock came crashing down into the most crowded part of the Austrian vanguard. Horses were thrown aside, knights fell, and in that instant, the formation broke. This was the moment the Swiss had been waiting for. They struck in a controlled assault. Halberds hooked riders from the saddle. Spears drove into fallen men. From the tree line, crossbow bolts rained into the trapped Austrians. Men struggled to raise their shields. There was no room to move, and nowhere to escape. A few Austrian knights tried to rally the line and launch a counterattack. For a brief moment, steel crashed into the Swiss front, but there was no room for cavalry here. Horses lost their footing in snow and mud. The attack stalled. The Swiss surged in again, tearing the counterattack apart before it could regain momentum. In the rear, the soldiers could not see clearly, but they could feel it. Wounded men were returning, banners were falling, and the sound of command was disappearing into panic. What began as a display of power was now turning into a rout. Men tried to flee. Some fell into the river. Others were trapped by the weight of their own armor. The Swiss did not blindly chase. They held their formation and pressed only as far as the valley protected them. They understood that victory did not always mean total destruction. Glarus had survived, and at Näfels, the world saw the lesson once again. Numbers alone did not guarantee victory. In the Alps, the right plan could break the power of an empire. The snow melted, the valley fell silent once again, but the balance of power in the Alps had changed forever.